Have you ever froze when the moment mattered the most? And it's like your brain went blank and your voice disappears and the pressure hijacks your body. But here's the truth. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. But what if I told you you can train your mind and your body to stay calm, stay clear, and stay in control, even when the stakes are high? Because elite leaders, they don't react to the pressure. They're built for it. And I'll show you how.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
I'm Prince Williams, the real Prince Williams, and I'm the founder of Drive Alive, where I train leaders, athletes, and other high performers how to master emotional control. Not just in theory, but in real pressure-filled moments and situations. So why listen to me? Because when everything is on the line, it's not motivation that's going to save you. You need execution, you need clarity, and you need control. And that's exactly what I teach. So in this video, you're going to learn how elite performers, how they stay calm, they think sharp, and they deliver under intense pressure. Let's get into it. So what we're going to talk about today is 3 ways to master pressure. But before I get into the main meat of what we're going to discuss today, I want to tell you a story about me doing the martial arts. I've been doing martial arts for over the past 20 years. And so I've built a level of skill that most people train their whole lives for. I've competed at a high level, but I've also used my skills in real life situations, not just in the ring. So I've used these skills in places that things can go bad probably really, really fast. But here's what I can tell you. When the pressure is on and your heart is pounding, you're not thinking about your next move. That's not how that works. That's not what happens when adrenaline hits. So unless you're not human or you're superhuman, everyone goes through that. And you get that rush, you get an adrenaline dump, and your body starts to take over. What you lean into in that moment comes down to one thing: what you trained for, or your instincts, or sometimes both. So you fall to what you've trained for. And I always say, you don't rise to the moment, you drop to the level of your training. So if you've never trained for pressure, you never practice what to do when things get chaotic, then how can you expect what to do when things get real? See, you got to put yourself in the fire on purpose. You got to train under stress. That's the only way that you're going to know what you're going to do when it's time to show up. And this is why pressure isn't the problem. It's a signal. Leadership under pressure begins with how you see the pressure, not how you avoid it. See, pressure isn't the enemy. It's really just a sign that you care. When something really matters to you, that's when the pressure starts to show up. But it's how you respond that sets you apart from everyone else, that makes you above average, that makes you the leader. Because most people panic, but leaders prepare. See, you fall to your training, but you rise to the moment. You ever seen someone crumble under the pressure? It's not because they didn't care. It's because they didn't train for that particular moment. See, leadership is what shows up when things get hard. So when you're able to reframe that pressure into purpose instead of, dreading, the pressure, ask yourself, what is this pressure preparing me for? See, leaders don't avoid the stress. They alchemize it, they transmute it, they change it, and they change it into strength. So I have another story for you. I was training a few students not so long ago, and we were working on some self-defense concepts. And so in my philosophy, when I teach, I tell my students, we don't give up space. You can move offline, you can angle, but you do not retreat. You always go forward. And so one of my students, he's a retired military guy. He served in Iraq. He led, soldiers in active combat. We're in the middle of the drill, and he stops and he asks me, Prince, just curious, if I were to ask you, what is the protocol when bullets are flying at you? I thought it was an odd question at the time, but I got to thinking about it. And the first thing I said, well, you duck or you find cover. That makes sense to me, right? And that's true. That's true to a point. But he went on to explain to me, no, when you're in a full-on assault, when it's chaos and things are kind of breaking loose, you actually do the opposite. It's counterintuitive. You run towards the gunfire. Now that sounds crazy as hell, but if you've never been in that kind of situation, that's a very real tactic. And there's a reason why. See, when you move towards a threat, your brain doesn't get locked into survival mode the same way. You start to respond instead of react. And so you start to be able to make very clear choices. You're hijacking the system and you're short-circuiting the panic. So your brain starts to believe that now you're in control, even if you're under fire. And that's the key. See, you want to lead under pressure, right? So then you got to lead your body first. And then if you can't do that and your nervous system is fried, you're not leading anyone or anything at that point. Which leads me to my next point, which is lead your body first, not the room. See, you can't lead others if you can't lead your nervous system. And your breath is a power tool in that process. So you inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 6 seconds. That's not some yoga trick. That's a real life strategy in which how elite performers calm their nervous system. Because if you can control your body, your brain will follow. See, your nervous system tells you the truth. We're just not listening. Yeah, you can say I'm fine all day long, but if your heart is racing, your breath is shallow, and your body is in survival mode, well, what does that tell you? See, leaders know how to flip the switch. And presence is your superpower in a loud and very chaotic world. And we know what that looks like right now. Stillness isn't weakness, it's mastery. And leaders who stand their ground while others are spiraling, that's the one person or the people that people trust. To that point, I was listening to a podcast the other day. It was a guest instructor. I don't even know if he was a guest instructor. He was actually the primary instructor for the Navy SEAL swim training. So it's some real intense stuff, and he knew his stuff quite well. But he said something that stuck with me. Even with all of their training, even when the elite guys, when they've seen combat, and when they're pushed in new ways and they're put through unfamiliar drills, the one thing that saves them is their ability to regulate their system. And so he broke it down like this. SEALs are trained to go hard. That's the expectation. But the system behind the training isn't just for pushing for the sake of pain. There's a process. It's about building the ability to stay calm in the middle of the storm. See, he says something like this: if you're not dead, then you need to keep going. But it's not about pushing reckless. It's the goal is to be able to be calm under pressure. So not panicking. And over time, what shows up if you keep training, and at the end of the training cycle, these guys learn or they lean into the process of being sharper, smoother, and more efficient because they trust the process, they trust the training. And that's what happens when you build systems that keep you grounded. That's where the flow comes from. See, calm isn't weakness, it's the unlock. So you have to build systems that sustain you. So high performance under pressure isn't about powering through. It's about designing recovery into your rhythm. See, calm is contagious, but so is chaos. And if you're leading someone or you're leading a team, even just your family, and you're panicking, guess what the team is going to do? But if you're grounded, even in chaos, they're going to follow your lead. Presence over panic every single time. So don't just push harder, recover smarter. See, going nonstop, that's not leadership. That's a recipe for burnout. I know, I've been there. See, real resilience is about being able to show up again, again, and again with full clarity. So this means you need to regulate, reflect, and reset. However many times that you need to do that. See, pressure isn't the problem. The problem is waiting for things to show up while you figure out how to handle it. Now, if you're leading anyone and you're trying to build something that matters, or you're carrying the weight of high expectations, ask yourself, am I reacting to the pressure, or am I really ready for it? Because pressure is the signal. Your breath is control, and calm is strength. So what I want you to do right now, let me know in the comments by saying, I choose clarity over chaos. Let me know what you think. And if you want to become a more authentic, grounded leader, check out the links in the description. Everything you need to get started is in there. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to subscribe. My name is Prince Williams, the real Prince Williams. Until next time.